Now on Coast TV News.
Maryland's pro-wind push. What to expect later today when advocates attempt to make their case for the alternative energy project set for our coast.
Halloween on the highway, the changes to traffic in Lewes for trick-or-treating tonight.
Good Friday morning and a happy Halloween. Delmarva tracking ghosts, ghouls, and gusts. We could see some winds as high as 45 miles an hour. Your trick-or-treat forecast and weekend forecast next.
All the buzz in Philly.
And James Jones sprints and dives into the end zone.
The big night for Delaware State football in their nationally televised game against Norfolk State.
This is Coast TV News Today.
And it is Friday, October 31st, 2025. Good morning. I'm Matt Pensick.
Good morning, Matt. I'm Grace Eckerly, and thank you for being up with us during this 5 o'clock hour.
We got Halloween on a Friday. That could be a wild combination.
It is very exciting, and someone who's also very excited for Halloween is our first alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobono.
I noticed his tie.
He's got a very Halloween festive tie. Good morning, Chris, you fashionista.
Good morning, Grace. I'm doing the best I can, right? Well, we're doing a lot better than where we were at yesterday morning with the heavy rain and high winds as we take a live look into Lewes. 49 degrees there, dew point 46, so it's nice and cool and dry out there. You can see we're running about 10 degrees cooler in Georgetown, 13 degrees cooler in Ocean City. We're at 50 in Long Neck, 51 in Harrington, and 50 in Delmar. Winds out of the west right now. Pretty light, gusting to 10 Millsboro, 19 Indian River Inlet, but that's going to change as we get into the late part of the morning and into the afternoon. Wind advisory encompassing Sussex, Kent, all of Delaware. This kicks in at 10 a.m. and runs through 12 a.m. We're clear, dry, and we're going to stay that way. Our area of low pressure that impacted us yesterday continues to push up into Canada and intensify and pull down stronger winds, and that's going to allow for gusts up to 40, 45 miles an hour throughout our Halloween. It's going to be a beautiful start to November. Plenty of sunshine through the weekend. Maybe a late shower chance into Monday, but not completely sold on that. Mostly sunny skies through the afternoon today as we get up to around 60 degrees this afternoon. Again, those winds out of the west gusting as high as 45 miles an hour. Coming up, we'll talk more about the rest of your weekend ahead in my full 7-day forecast. Matt.
Thank you, Chris. Melissa is still churning through the Caribbean this after a devastating hits on Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti, where it caused widespread damage and at least 30 deaths. In Haiti, the government reporting more than 20 deaths, and in Cuba, where the hurricane made its second landfall, people are now digging out after flash flooding leveled homes. The storm is expected to head towards Bermuda. And
a flash flood warning was issued for almost all of New York City on Thursday evening. The storms we experienced later brought heavy rainfall to the city, flooding streets and submerging vehicles. People could be seen making their trek through those high waters in Brooklyn, and some drivers also deciding to brave the flood, which the city has strongly advised against. 2 people have died as a result of the flooding.
And this just in, today in Maryland, state and federal officials, along with labor and environmental groups, they're in Baltimore for a big push to expand offshore wind energy.
The event at 11 a.m. is expected to include Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen for what's being called a Maryland Day of Action for offshore wind. Organizers claim the offshore wind project. That push aims to highlight how they say offshore wind projects will lower energy costs, create jobs, and improve Maryland's plans for clean energy. Now, this comes amid the ongoing legal battle between U.S. Wind and some Delmarva communities, including Fenwick Island and Ocean City, and to block the effort to build wind turbines off the Worcester County coast. And, well, it is October 31st, so obviously we need to talk about some Halloween festivities around here, Matt.
Yeah, we do, Grace, and we find Coast TV news reporter Elisa Weber. She's in Lewes, where a main highway there will have some traffic changes tonight for trick-or-treating. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt and Grace, and happy Halloween. Right now, I am in the neighborhoods right off of Kings Highway. As you can see, this house behind me already has their lights on. They are ready for trick-or-treating tonight. And the city says that from 5 to 8 o'clock tonight, this area will be full of trick-or-treaters, lots of Halloween festivities. And the police department is telling people that there will be closures in place from DeVries Circle to 3rd Street so that trick-or-treaters can remain safe while they're stocking up on all of that sugar. Back to you.
Thanks, Elisa. Now, Halloween, always dangerous for the little costume pedestrians, but AAA says this year it's even scarier, and they're even giving a scary name. They're calling it the Triple Safety Trifecta of Terror. Now, the organization says the problems stem from Halloween being on a Friday night. Trick-or-treaters don't have to get up for school the next day. Partygoers don't have to get up for work the next day. And on Halloween, most kids are thinking about one thing: getting candy.
Kids are out for the weekend, so they're going harder than they typically would on any other Halloween. So motorists really need to be extra alert.
According to AAA, the daylight savings change can make a big weekend a potentially even more dangerous situation.
Now, we have some places across Delmarva where you can take those trick-or-treaters. So let's take a look at some of those. In Milford, trick-or-treating takes place throughout the city from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Millsboro Police Department, they're hosting a trunk or treat from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. As we mentioned, Elisa mentioned this one, the trick-or-treating in Lewes takes place on Kings Highway from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And in Salisbury, the mall is hosting trick-or-treating from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Sounds like some great fun, Matt. In Ocean City today marks the last day of paid parking and the end of the first season with fewer kiosks across town. We spoke with the transportation manager in Ocean City on how the season went. He says the transition this year went pretty smoothly, citing only a handful of complaints. He adds that the town plans to remove the last kiosks at the inlet before next summer season. That means next year paying through the phone will be the only option, something some visitors say they're just not a fan of.
More convenient, I would think, and maybe some people are going to come down and not realize that they took the meters away, and they're not going to know what to do to park.
According to the town, revenue from paid parking this year has increased by around 18% compared to last year. Town leaders credit the higher parking rates for the boost and says that the town currently has no plans to raise rates for next year.
SNAP benefits are set to run out tomorrow. That's due to the federal government shutdown, and all 3 Delmarva states have declared a state of emergency. SNAP helps low-income people and families, and with the shutdown, the Food Bank of Delaware says it expects an increase in demand soon, and they are asking for donations. The organization says some of its most needed items include canned meats, hearty canned soups, rice, oatmeal, and cereal, canned fruits and vegetables, formula, diapers, and shelf-stable milk.
Next, there are food banks across Delmarva who are ready to help people in need. These include the Milton Community Food Pantry, New Covenant Church in Lewes, Stevenson United Methodist Church in Berlin, and the Salvation Army Food Pantry in Salisbury.
And we are now taking a live look at Washington, D.C. It is day 31 of that government shutdown, and neither chamber of Congress is in session. That means the shutdown will last into next week, as federal funds for programs that feed low-income families are on track to run out tomorrow.
Right, Matt, and NBC's Alice Barr shows us what is in store after reaching this major milestone.
President Trump overnight throwing a major curveball into the shutdown showdown, calling on Republicans to go for the nuclear option, to get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now. Doing that would let GOP members pass a short-term funding bill to reopen the government with a simple 50-vote majority instead of the 60 needed now. The Senate's top Republican has publicly opposed changing the filibuster, instead urging more Democrats to cross over and back the bill.
We have a few already. We need 5 Democrats with a backbone.
Democratic leadership holding firm on restoring health care provisions.
The American people understand that there's a Republican health care crisis.
That amid a deepening food insecurity crisis. The emergency response organization World Central Kitchen, now in D.C., helping feed federal workers who are missing paychecks.
I wish people in power understood that we are much closer to poverty than a lot of folks outside of D.C. Perhaps don't understand or don't know.
And now SNAP food assistance is set to expire on Saturday, ripping a lifeline away from low-income Americans. Democrats pushing for a standalone bill using contingency funds to extend those benefits.
No president has ever stopped these funds from flowing in a shutdown.
Republicans rejecting blame, accusing Democrats of a political bid.
To insulate themselves from the consequences of their own actions.
Now, as the consequences grow, one Republican senator proposing a constitutional amendment to stop lawmakers' pay while the shutdown drags on. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
New this morning, the Salisbury city leaders and Salisbury Neighborhood Housing Services are teaming up to restore a row of century-old homes on Fitzwater Street. According to Mayor Taylor, Westport is a major renovation project aimed at transforming long-time vacant row homes into modern, energy-efficient homes for the first-time buyers. Now, construction will include full renovations, energy upgrades, and affordable purchase options. The first homes are expected to be ready by late fall of 2026, and temporary fencing is now up along Fitzwater Street, with part of that sidewalk closed during construction.
Delaware State football in prime time. The Hornets put Norfolk State away with a 76-yard fourth quarter run by James Jones. 27-20 is the final. Delaware State moves to 6-3 on the season, 2-0 in MEAC play, and we'll have more on this game later on Coast TV News Today.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News Today.
Yeah, coming up, Halloween, cool things to do. We'll tell you where to find the fun across Delmarva.
Also, flooding overtakes Ocean City. We'll show you what people there had to say after heavy rain this week.
Still ahead, departures change due to weather. What trips are not launching at the Cape May Lewes Ferry today? And First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono is in the Weather Center. He's tracking that trick-or-treat weather, and we check in with him next.
Good Friday morning, Delmarva, and a happy Halloween. We have sunshine on the way for this Friday on Delmarva, 53 degrees in Salisbury, and we're rather mild this morning, 52 Bridgeville, we're at 50 in Milton. Winds right now anywhere between about 5 to 20 miles an hour, but they will be picking up in intensity throughout the later part of the morning into the afternoon, all thanks to this area of low pressure deepening to our north, setting those stronger winds southward. Well, when we look at some of the extremes over the past few Halloweens and decades past, 81 was our warmest back in 1946, 1950, and just back in 2019. Our coldest low was 24 degrees. And look at that, we picked up over 3 inches of rain back in 1956. Not going to see any of that today. We're going to see plenty of sunshine, temperatures getting up to around 61 degrees, again with those winds gusting as high as 45 miles an hour. We'll talk about the rest of your forecast in just a few minutes. Grace.
Thanks, Chris. And as nice as that sunshine sounds, the Cape May Lewes Ferry says that they're canceling certain departures due to the expected weather conditions. Officials say there will be no boats leaving from Cape May at 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. There will also be no boats leaving from Lewes at 11:15 a.m. and 2:45 p.m.
Get ready for nighttime road closures in the Forgotten Mile area of Rehoboth Beach. Delmat says this area that we're showing you right now on your screen, it's Robinson Drive and Anna B. Street between Coastal Highway and Fisher Street. That is closing for milling and paving, and Delmat says the work will begin November 3rd and end November 4th from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. each day.
Disney channels were removed from YouTube's pay TV platform after the two media giants failed to reach a new carriage agreement before Thursday's midnight deadline. Now, the blackout leaves subscribers unable to watch content from Disney networks, but that includes ESPN, ABC, Disney Channel, FX, National Geographic, and Freeform. The two companies remain in talks, although neither indicated when customers could expect the programming to resume.
Apple says it's heading into what could be its strongest quarter ever. The company's latest earnings report shows fourth quarter revenue climbed to a record of more than $102 billion. It is reportedly fueled by steady demand for the new iPhone 17 lineup. Apple CEO Tim Cook said the company expects the December quarter to be its best ever, both for total revenue and iPhone sales.
If you're having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from Coast TV with personal features, fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for free at coasttv.com/sign up to get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox.
Well, we have plenty of sunshine in store for our Halloween, but the winds will be a little thorn in our side through the afternoon and into the early part of the evening, but a beautiful weekend ahead with plenty of sunshine. We'll talk more about it coming up my full 7-day forecast just after the break.
Time is 5:19 and you're looking live at the bright lights along the canal in Lewes. First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono is back with us. And Chris, we do have some wind to talk about this morning.
Yeah, unfortunately, those winds are going to be picking up in intensity throughout the morning and into the afternoon. Kind of a little thorn in our side for this Halloween, but all in all, we're going to see plenty of sunshine throughout the afternoon. We're at 51 in Rehoboth, 50 Redden, 52 Bridgeville, and we are at 51 in Delmarva. You can see winds right now out of the west, gusting upwards to 13 in Millsboro, 21 Indian River Inlet, and those winds are going to continue to pick up throughout the day today. We're clear, we're dry, and we're going to stay that way. There's our area of low pressure that impacted us yesterday, continuing to push up into Canada, but it's going to begin to deepen. It's going to continue to deepen, and in doing so, stronger winds are going to wrap around that storm system. 52 in Milford, and we have that wind advisory that goes into effect from 10 a.m. through midnight, and then we also do have coastal flood advisories that continue through high tide. The day today could see some minor flooding there, and we had some major tidal flooding here yesterday along Dorchester County, and we have that coastal flood advisory downgraded from a warning. Gale warnings do continue through early Saturday morning. There's those winds gusting out of the west, 35 to 45 miles an hour throughout the day. They'll relax a bit into the overnight. It'll be a bit breezy for Saturday with gusts to 20, 25, and then they'll relax even further into Sunday. Highs today, lower 60s across the area, so we're looking very nice as we head into our trick-or-treating this evening. Temperatures falling into the 50s, 57 by around 6 under mostly clear skies. So the skies will stay clear through the overnight as well. We'll fall into the lower to mid 40s. I think it'll be much colder Saturday night into Sunday with clear skies, a beautiful afternoon, right around 60 degrees, and potentially some patchy frost as we go into Sunday morning. But all in all, a beautiful weekend. 62 Saturday, 64 into our Sunday as we ring in November. Hard to believe, right? There's another storm system that we're keeping an eye on late Monday. Not completely sold on this. We could see a brief period of rain there late Monday into Monday night, but overall high pressure building in for next week, and we stay relatively dry. Hurricane Melissa continuing to weaken and race to the northeast, picking up some speed, 41 mile an hour speed there, and it's going to continue to push out into the North Atlantic and turn into an extratropical cyclone. 65 Monday, again, watching that threat of a potential rain late in the day into the overnight. We'll continue to follow that over the weekend, but overall trending dry and pleasant through next week. Temperature 62 into Tuesday, and will fall to 57 by Thursday. Matt.
Thank you, Chris. In Ocean City, downtown was hit by flooding as Thursday's storm rolled through, but crews were busy pushing sand that washed into the inlet parking lot back onto the beach. Meanwhile, for people braving the elements, it was just a sight to see as rough waves crashed into the coast.
It's great.
It's angry. We love it. We love it.
We just need to get some fries at Thrasher's and come and sit and watch.
Yeah, that sounds like a good treat there. As Chris just mentioned, today is expected to be much quieter now that the heavy rain and wind are gone.
After the break on Coast TV News today, some cool things to do this weekend. There's Halloween fun, plus ways to prepare for the season of giving. Delaware's Governor Matt Meyer has signed the Compassionate Release Act into law. According to state leaders, it expands compassionate release eligibility, allowing prisoners to apply directly to the courts for release under certain circumstances. That would be in cases of serious illness, or those who are 60 or older with 15 years served, or those who served 25 years and show signs of rehabilitation. Now, supporters say it brings more transparency and fairness to Delaware's sentencing process.
It gives us real hope. It gives families, loved ones, and supporters hope that their loved one will come home and that we are not the sum total of the bad choices that we've made.
The Compassionate Release Act takes effect 180 days after being signed into law in Delaware.
Hope your Friday morning is off to a great start as we take a live look into Lewes. We are dry this morning, pretty pleasant, 50 degrees out there. Winds are calm for now, but that's going to change as we go into the afternoon. Ocean City, temperatures right around 60 degrees, but it's going to feel a lot chillier with wind gusts upwards of 45 miles an hour. We're at 59 by around 5 o'clock this afternoon. So if you're doing any trick-or-treating, make sure you dress warm as we get into the latter part of the afternoon. Lewes, 57 by around your lunchtime as those winds really begin to ramp up late this morning through the day today. Cambridge, plenty of sunshine. We're up to 57 by around noon, as well as Crisfield as we get those temperatures right around 60 degrees. So all in all, a nice dry Halloween, but a windy one at that. Joseph Weimer, Lewes, Delaware. You're the winner of our Coast TV weather umbrella. And as always, you get your latest forecast by dialing our First Alert weather phone. I'll have more in my full forecast in the next half hour.
Now on Coast TV News.
Halloween on the highway, the changes to traffic in Lewes for trick-or-treating tonight.
Backing the power of breeze. Alternative energy advocates make their case later today in supporting the controversial offshore wind project on our coast.
Good Friday morning and a happy Halloween. Delmarva tracking ghosts, ghouls, and gusts. We could see some winds as high as 45 miles an hour. Your trick-or-treat forecast and weekend forecast next.
Kiosks kicked out. It is the last day of paid parking in Ocean City, with kiosks set for removal. How the town plans to charge for parking next year.
This is Coast TV News Today.
October 31st, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Matt. I'm Grace Eckerly, and thank you for being up with us.
5:31, that is the time. And tonight we have trick-or-treating. There already has been trunk-or-treating, and perhaps you're doing both this month.
Right. This seems to be the great debate. I stand on the point that it's a supplement.
Full experience.
Yeah, you got to do both. You got to get your steps in, right? Chris, what about you? What are we thinking here? I know we got a beautiful forecast for either one.
Oh yeah, you got to go out there and ring on those doorbells, right? Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be we're going to see plenty of sunshine today, but that wind is going to be a little thorn in our side as we go into the afternoon. Right now, as we look into Salisbury, it is 53 degrees. It is dry, much calmer than where we were this time yesterday with the heavy rain. You can see we're 10 degrees cooler in both Salisbury and Georgetown, 13 degrees cooler in Ocean City, where temperatures are 50 in Rehoboth. We're at 53 Milford, 53 in Seaford, and we're at 51 in Gumboro. Winds right now, not all that bad. We're gusting 21 Indian River Inlet, 13 in Millsboro, but those winds are going to continue to pick up as this wind advisory kicks in and affects Sussex, Kent counties. This comes into effect 10 a.m. through midnight, and we're going to stay plenty dry and clear throughout the day. Just a few clouds rolling in this afternoon. There's our area of low pressure continuing to push up into upstate New York and Canada as it deepens. Stronger winds are going to wrap around that storm system. So we're looking at plenty of sunshine through the afternoon, but a windy day at that, with those gusts upwards of 45 to near 46 miles an hour as we get those temperatures right in the lower 60s. So we're looking very nice for trick-or-treating this evening, but again, dress warm because it's going to feel a lot cooler with those strong winds. Coming up, we'll talk about the rest of your weekend forecast coming up a little bit later on. Grace.
Thanks, Chris. And still churning through the Caribbean, that's Melissa. After devastating Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti, where it caused widespread damage and at least 30 deaths. In Haiti, the government is reporting more than 20 of those deaths. And in Cuba, where the hurricane made second landfall, people are now digging out after flash flooding leveled homes.
Today in Maryland, state and federal officials, along with labor and environmental groups, they're in Baltimore. This is for a big push to expand offshore wind energy.
And the event is scheduled for 11 a.m. and it's expected to include Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen, and it's for what's being called Maryland's Day of Action for Offshore Wind. Organizers claim the offshore wind project, that push aims to highlight how they say offshore wind projects will lower energy costs, create jobs, and improve Maryland's plans for clean energy. This comes amid the ongoing legal battle between U.S. Wind and some Delmarva communities, including Fenwick Island and Ocean City, to block the effort to build wind turbines off the Worcester County coast.
It is Halloween later tonight. Get ready for trick-or-treating all over Delmarva.
Very excited, Matt. And it's where we find Coast TV News reporter Elisa Weber. She's in Lewes. Now, Elisa, a major highway in Lewes will have some traffic changes for tonight for trick-or-treating.
Good morning, Matt and Grace, and happy Halloween. Right now, I am in the neighborhoods off of Kings Highway in Lewes, and today around 5 to 8 o'clock, we are expecting tons of trick-or-treaters to be filling these streets, searching for that candy. As you can see, that house behind me is all decked out, ready for Halloween, nice and early. And it's exciting to see all these decorations, these lights up. But the city is going to let people know that from 4:30 to 8 o'clock, DeVries Circle to 3rd Street will be closed to traffic for the safety of trick-or-treaters. I'm sure all of those trick-or-treaters are going to be hoping for those full-size candy bars. Back to you.
Thanks, Elisa. Now, Halloween is always a little dangerous for kids in costumes and pedestrians, but AAA says this year it's even scarier. They're even giving it a pretty scary name, a traffic safety trifecta of terror. That's what they're calling it. The organization says the problems stem from Halloween being on a Friday night. Trick-or-treaters don't have to get up for school the next day. Partygoers don't have to get up for work the next day. And according to AAA, the daylight savings change can make the pretty big weekend potentially an even more dangerous situation.
Yeah, things to keep in mind there. But let's talk about some fun. And here's some places across Delmarva where you can take those trick-or-treaters. In Milford, trick-or-treating takes place throughout the city from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Millsboro Police Department, they're hosting a trunk or treat from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Town Hall. And as Elisa mentioned, trick-or-treating in Lewes on Kings Highway, that's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Salisbury Mall hosting trick-or-treating from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
In Ocean City, today marks the last day of paid parking and the end of the first season with fewer kiosks across town. We spoke with the transportation manager in Ocean City on how the season went. He says the transition this year went smoothly, citing only a handful of complaints. He adds that the town plans to remove the last kiosk at the inlet before next summer season, meaning that next year, paying through your phone will be the only option.
And this just in, the British royal family is taking an extraordinary step in the controversy surrounding allegations against Prince Andrew.
Reed Binion showing us now how the years-long scandal is part of the larger story about Jeffrey Epstein's victims and their demands for accountability and justice.
Britain's Prince Andrew, a prince no more, his brother King Charles officially starting the process of stripping Andrew of his remaining royal titles and evicting him from the royal estate in Windsor. It's the royal family's strongest response yet to the disgraced prince's links to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
It's a moment about justice, right?
Epstein survivor Danielle Binsky responding to the news Thursday.
I think it was incredibly hopeful for survivors, and it's a glimmer of hope that we haven't seen in a really long time, if ever.
The years-long controversy over Andrew's friendship with Epstein intensified after the release of a posthumous memoir by Virginia Giuffre, who alleged Andrew sexually assaulted her when she was a teenager. Andrew has repeatedly denied all allegations against him. He claimed he never met Giuffre, who died by suicide in April at the age of 41. On Thursday, her family released a statement reading in part, quote, "Today, an ordinary American girl from an ordinary American family brought down a British prince with her truth and extraordinary courage." Giuffre's brother also spoke out on Thursday.
I think this is a big sense of vindication for her from not just the general public, but from the king himself to say, I stand by survivors.
Buckingham Palace also released a statement reading in part, quote, "Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse." I'm Reed Binion reporting.
We're taking a live look now into Washington, D.C. It's day 31 of the government shutdown, and neither chamber of Congress is in session. That means the shutdown will last into next week as federal funds for programs that feed low-income families are on track to run out tomorrow. This includes SNAP food assistance, taking an important resource away from low-income Americans. The emergency response organization World Central Kitchen, now in D.C., helping to feed federal workers who are missing paychecks. There's a lot more news to get to, so don't go anywhere.
Yeah, coming up on the bean trade deal done, we'll tell you how a new deal with China could help Delaware soybean farmers. Also, former Philadelphia Eagles Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick meet once again on their old home field. How the Delaware State Hornets won this big hyped game against Norfolk State. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
Halloween Friday on Delmarva. Pleasant good morning, and I hope your morning is off to a great start. Certainly a lot quieter than when we were yesterday. Pleasant start there in Milford, 52 degrees. Winds are relatively calm for now. We're dealing with temperatures right now in the lower 50s, 53 Lewes, 51 in Bethany Beach, and you can see the wind flow out of the west, gusting 13 in Millsboro to 19 in Indian River Inlet. As this area low pressure continues to push northward and deepen, we're going to see those winds circulate and really begin to ramp up throughout our area. Well, we had our hottest Halloween back in 1946 and 1950, 2019, 81 degrees, and look at that, we picked up over 3 inches of rain back in 1956, and we're not going to be dealing with any of those extremes today. Plenty of sunshine through the afternoon. The only thorn in our side is going to be that wind, so it's going to feel a lot cooler than what these temperatures are going to represent, especially as we go into the later part of the afternoon. So dress warm when you're heading out to trick or treat. We'll talk more about the rest of your weekend ahead here in a little bit. Matt.
Okay, Chris. New this morning, the Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration says construction begins tomorrow at the US 50 and Maryland 589 intersection in Worcester County. The work is part of a plan to build Coastal Square. That's a new shopping center and apartment complex on the south side of Route 50. And officials say crews will add a fourth leg to the intersection, turning it into a full four-way crossing. The project also includes new stormwater upgrades and pavement markings.
Also new this morning, the 3rd annual Veterans Day Career Carnival and Resource Fair will be held on Thursday, November 6th from noon to 5 p.m. at the Salisbury Fire Department Station 16. Organizers say the free event is open to the public and will feature more than 25 employers and organizations. Veterans and transitioning service members are encouraged to arrive early for a special recognition ceremony at 11:30 a.m., where they'll also receive priority access to employers before general admission begins.
MEAC football in Philadelphia as 2 former NFL players made their way back to the city of brotherly love, where they played on this field as athletes, but now they turn their coach's cap on at Lincoln Financial Field. Deshaun Jackson leading Delaware State University. Michael Vick, the head man of Norfolk State. At the break, Delaware State was up 10-6. Now to the second half of action. Caden Bennett looking, scrambling, finds Tamir Ellis for the touchdown. But Norfolk State is going to answer back. Otto Coons to Kyrie Moiston, making the tough grab, their second connection of the contest, and number 6 goes in for 6. What a game we have here. It's 19-13 in the 4th quarter. But here comes Delaware State once again. James Jones getting his inner Deshaun Jackson speed, and he goes all the way in for the touchdown. The Hornets are buzzing in Philadelphia, and Delaware State University comes out victorious. DSU head coach Deshaun Jackson says it was surreal being back in his home stadium.
Be able to get this opportunity to play at a stadium like this, man, where, you know, me and Mike Vick called home for plenty of years, man, and, you know, just the things we accomplished on this field, man, it was surreal. So when I walked on the field, man, smelling that grass, man, it just went through my veins. I just felt like I was about to play a game because that grass smells very familiar.
As the Delaware State Hornets come out on top in Philadelphia, 27-20 over Norfolk State University. Reporting at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for the Delmarva Sports Network, I'm Kayla Santiago.
And coming up tonight on DSN at 5, we have Down and Distance. That is followed by the high school football pregame show, Scoops and Scores. At 6, live Bayside Conference football, and North Carolina takes on Colonel Richardson. 9:30, you can watch 1CW Pro Wrestling. At 10:30, Grace, it is the Beat the Buckeyes edition of Nittany Game Week. And at 11, catch the final score. Now, along with that North Carolina Colonel Richardson game, here's more high school football you can watch on DSN+. 6 p.m., Seaford faces Early College High School, and at 7, Woodbridge hosts Lake Forest. To Miami, Lamar Jackson was back in the lineup for the Ravens, and all is right with the world. The 2-time MVP threw 4 touchdown passes on the night and a convincing 28-6 win over the Dolphins. The Ravens upped their record to 3-5.
It's week 9 in the NFL regular season, and coming up on Sunday Night Football this week, tune in as the Washington Commanders host the Seattle Seahawks, and stay here right after the game for CoastTV News. Halloween weekend movie options include old-fashioned horror double feature. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Dad, I can see. No, that's not us. That's somebody else's car.
AMC Theaters are offering 2 scary screenings for 1 ticket. Hallow Road, starring Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys, and the darkly comic thriller Vincent Must Die. More info at HalloweenDoubleFeature.com.
Stop looking backwards, David. But ladders is what we do next.
An update on the Call of Duty movie. Paramount and Activision have a creative team for their live-action feature film based on the popular military video game franchise. Peter Berg, known for Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day, will direct the movie and co-write it with Yellowstone and Landman creator Tyler Sheridan.
I've been drinking beer for 40 years, and I never wished once that it tasted more like fruit.
King of the Hill has at least a few more years in it. Hulu has renewed the adult animated series for its 16th and 17th seasons. Season 14 debuted in August, and Season 15 is due out next year. In Hollywood, by way of Arlen, Texas, I'm David Daniel.
Well, Frankenstein and me just getting ready for the day here, getting ready to load up on some candy, plenty of sunshine, but the winds are going to be howling, gusting upwards of 45 miles an hour. We'll talk about the rest of your Halloween forecast and the weekend ahead right after the break.
Chris, it is quiet and calm as we take a look into Salisbury. People just starting to wake up this morning on the peninsula, but I'm sure it'll be a much different scene later tonight.
Oh yeah, everybody will be out grabbing that candy, trick-or-treating, and we're gonna have plenty of good weather except for the wind. The wind's gonna be wreak a little bit of havoc later on this afternoon, but temperature-wise, doing pretty good this morning. We're at 52 in Bridgeville, 51 Rehoboth, 51 in Dagsboro. Winds right now not all that bad. We're gusting anywhere between about 10 to 20, but they're going to continue to ramp up through the late morning and into the afternoon. It's all thanks to this big area of low pressure that brought us the heavy rain and wind yesterday. It's going to continue to deepen, and in doing so, wrap those strong winds around that area of low pressure, bringing them across Delmarva. We're at 53 right now in Salisbury. That wind advisory kicks into effect at 10 a.m. That encompasses Sussex, Kent, the entire state of Delaware. That runs through midnight. We still do have a coastal flood advisory. That is up through 8 a.m. We had some minor flooding there yesterday. We had some moderate to major flooding in and across the bay, across Dorchester County yesterday. This has been downgraded from a warning to an advisory, so expecting some minor flooding through high tide cycle today. Gale warnings continue through early Saturday morning. Winds, as I mentioned, picking up out of the west, gusting upwards of 35, 45 miles an hour throughout the afternoon, and we'll continue to see that west flow into the start of the weekend. So it's a beautiful Halloween with the exception of that wind, so dress warm through the afternoon, 61 for Georgetown, 61 Easton. So highs generally between about 57 to 63 across the peninsula this afternoon. As I mentioned, you're going to want to dress warm, especially once that sun sets. With those strong winds, it's going to feel much colder than the 50s, 57 by 6 o'clock, and then we fall to 54 by around 8. Overnight, we'll see clear skies falling into the lower 40s. By Saturday afternoon, we continue that sunshine. It'll be a bit breezy, not as windy with gusts 20 to 25, and then as the winds relax into Sunday morning, we could wake up to some patchy frost with sunshine continuing. 64 for Sunday, first weekend of November, looking very nice. Now, we could see a brief shot of rain late Wednesday, not completely sold on this. Models want to try to develop an area of low pressure to our south, but overall next week is trending rather dry. Hurricane Melissa breaking apart now as it continues to race to the northeast, 41 miles an hour. It'll be an extratropical cyclone today as it continues to push up into the North Atlantic. 65 into Monday, watching for that threat of a shower late in the day, but overall a nice dry week ahead with temperatures staying below average.
Thanks, Chris. For months, Delaware soybean farmers have struggled with uncertainty and high costs from the U.S.-China trade war, but that could soon change. This week, a soybean tariff announcement was agreed upon. Now, China is set to buy 12 million metric tons in the coming months and at least 25 million annually for the next 3 years. That 25 million is 3 million more metric tons than China bought just last year.
The baseline should be in the neighborhood of 27 to 30 million metric tons. So if the 25 million are realized, then we would be substantially back at where we started.
Delaware farmers and agricultural officials in Delaware say they are cautiously optimistic. The time is now 5:53 a.m. and it's time to check in with our coastal pet of the day, Matt.
Yeah, Grace, on your screen we have Billy. You can see Billy's really cute there and cuddly, and he comes to us from the Brandywine Valley SPCA. And
He's a handsome guy there.
He is, yeah. So he'll bring a smile to your face if you meet him. That's what they're saying there. But if you want to adopt Billy or any other lovable pet, just head on over to the Brandywine Valley SPCA. And the organization says pets can get paw-tected at their free drive-through vaccine clinic. I know some cats in a certain household that will be taking advantage of that. That's from November 9th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Delaware State Fairgrounds.
And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. You can send us photos and tell us what makes them so special if you take a look at your screen now.
Yeah, scan that QR code top center, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
Well, we have ourselves a sunny, dry Halloween on tap, but if you're heading out to trick-or-treat later on this afternoon into the evening, it is going to be chilly with those winds gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour, so dress warm. Temperatures are going to be falling through the 50s, 62 over the weekend with plenty of sunshine and looking very nice. And don't forget to set those clocks back an hour Saturday into Sunday.
Halloween and clock changes. A lot going on this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty busy around here on the peninsula, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what are your Halloween plans?
I'm going to be eating pizza, giving out candy, and maybe tapping into some espresso chip ice cream.
Ooh, enjoyable, Matt.
Candy, maybe. Some sports watching. All right. Coming up in our next hour, promoting wind power, alternative energy advocates to make their case later today in Maryland. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.